What if a single promise from God could shatter every fear, calling you by name and guiding you through life's darkest storms? Have you ever felt alone, wondering if a divine presence could carry you beyond the chaos? Are you ready to trust a God who parts seas and walks through flames, claiming you as His own? Isaiah chapter 43 isn't just a chapter. It's a divine vow, a thunderous declaration from the Almighty. No matter what trials threaten to break you, no matter what chaos swirls, God's presence is your fortress, unshakable and eternal. He doesn't call you to merely survive. He summons you to stride boldly through every fire and flood. I have called you by name. You are mine. Those words echo with the weight of eternity. Can you feel their power? The God who shaped the heavens, who carved the oceans, who set the stars ablaze, knows your name. He didn't create the universe and abandon you to its trials. No, He is with you, closer than your breath, mightier than your fears, steadfast through every storm. This world is a noisy place, isn't it? Voices shout from every corner, promising peace and wealth, love, or fleeting praise. People chase success, relationships, anything to quiet the ache in their hearts. But when the glitter fades, they're left hollow, still searching for meaning. They run from one thrill to the next, hoping something will anchor their soul. But hear this truth: true peace is found only in the presence of God. You could stack gold to the skies, command the adoration of millions, but without God's presence, your heart will wander, restless and lost. You were created for Him, designed to dwell in His love, to rest in His strength. And the enemy knows this. He slinks through the shadows, whispering lies to shake your faith. You're forgotten, he sneers. You're not enough, God is distant. But Isaiah chapter 43 slices through those lies. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When God declares you His, it's not a fleeting promise. He doesn't turn away. He doesn't abandon His own. His love is a chain unbroken, a bond eternal. But here's the question that pierces the heart. Do you live like you believe it? Do you walk as a child of the King, knowing His presence clears the path before you? Or do you cower in fear, wondering if God still sees you? Hearing His promise is one thing, but believing it, letting it reshape your soul, that's where everything changes. The moment you trust that God is with you, fear begins to unravel, doubt fades like morning mist, and you stand taller, unshaken by life's tempests. Think of Moses, called to lead a nation through a wilderness of uncertainty. He didn't ask for signs or strength. He pleaded, Lord, if your presence doesn't go with us, don't send us. Why? Because he knew that without God's presence, no journey would matter, no triumph would endure. That's the posture we need today. Not chasing the world's fleeting rewards, not craving its shallow approval, but crying out, Lord, if your presence isn't in it, I want no part of it. When God's presence envelops you, fear has no place to stand. Anxiety bounds, confusion scatters. You may walk through seasons of darkness, but you will never walk alone. You may face trials that test your soul, but you will not be defeated. For God's presence is your shield, your refuge, your unyielding strength. Isaiah chapter 43 proclaims it loud and clear, no matter what you endure. He is with you. Not watching from a distant throne, not issuing commands from the heavens, but with you, step by step, moment by moment. When you stumble, He is there. When you feel forgotten, He is there. When answers seem out of reach, He remains, steady and sure. Some of you are thinking, but I don't feel Him. Listen closely. Faith isn't about what you feel. It's about what God has spoken. He said, "I have called you by name. You are mine." That truth stands firm, even when your heart is heavy, even when the world presses in. The moment you surrender, the moment you lift your voice in prayer, you'll begin to sense what was always there, His presence, constant and unshakable. So ask yourself now, are you living in the confidence of His promise? Or are you stumbling in fear, wondering if God is still near? You don't need to beg for His presence or chase after His love. He has already vowed to be with you. Step into that truth. Pray with expectation. Walk with assurance. Live as one claimed by the Creator of all things. When you do, fear loses its grip, doubt melts away, and you move not as one barely surviving, but as a child of the Most High, anchored in the One who called you His own. Fear is a thief, cunning and relentless. It slips into your thoughts when you're weary, whispering lies to shake your faith. You're alone, it taunts. You're not enough, you're too far gone. But hear this, fear is not from God. Isaiah chapter 43 thunders, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you." That's not a suggestion, it's a command from the Almighty. Fear isn't just an emotion, it's a spiritual assault, a weapon the enemy wields to keep you from the life God has planned. He'll use fear to make you doubt your worth, your purpose, your salvation. But God's word stands like a fortress. You don't have to live in fear, because you are redeemed. That redemption isn't fragile, tied to your feelings or your failures. It's an eternal truth, sealed by the God who calls you His own. Nothing, not your past, not your mistakes, not the enemy's schemes, can break that bond. I don't know the battles you faced, the scars you carry, or the weight you bear. But I know this, God's redemption is greater than your past. Some of you are chained by guilt, haunted by mistakes, believing the lie that your sins are too dark, your failures too deep for God to love you. But Isaiah chapter 43 doesn't say, "Fear not, unless you've fallen too far." It doesn't say, "Fear not, unless your past is too broken." No, it declares, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you." Your past doesn't define you. Your mistakes don't own you. When God redeems, He doesn't just pull you from the darkness and leave you broken. He restores you, breathes new life into your soul, gives you a new name, a new identity, a new future. The world may try to drag you back to your yesterday, but God says, "You are mine." Do you hear that? You are His. If you belong to God, what can the enemy do to you? If you are held in His hands, what can this world take from you? Some of you are weary, fighting battles that were never yours to win. You're striving to prove yourself, to fix your life, to control what only God can command. But redemption isn't your burden, it's God's work, finished and complete. You don't have to earn His love or scrub your soul clean before approaching Him. He has already claimed you. When you grasp that truth, fear loses its power. Fear thrives on uncertainty, whispering, "What if God fails me? What if I'm not enough? What if I fall again?" But faith answers, "I don't need every answer. I trust the One who holds them all." A person who knows they're redeemed walks differently. They don't bow to the opinions of others. They don't let old wounds dictate their path. They don't shrink when life roars. They know, no matter the storm, they belong to God, and that means hope is never lost. So I ask you, are you living as one redeemed, or are you still letting fear call the shots? You don't have to fear your past, your future, or the whispers of this world. The God who redeemed you holds every moment, every outcome, and He will not let you go. If doubt creeps in, if you wonder whether He still sees you, Let these words burn in your heart. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. That's your Father's voice, the one who paid the ultimate price for you. When He calls you His, nothing can steal that away. Life will test you. The waters will rise, threatening to swallow you whole. The flames will roar, daring you to break. But God never promised a life without storms. He promised you'd never face them alone. Isaiah chapter 43 vows, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." That's the anchor of His presence. Some of you are in a season where the waves keep crashing, relentless, leaving you gasping for air. You're fighting silent battles, carrying burdens too heavy for words. The enemy wants you to believe your struggles mean God has turned away, that the fire proves He's forsaken you. That's a lie. Trials don't signal God's absence, they reveal His nearness, His strength holding you up when you can't stand. Picture Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, cast into a furnace for their unwavering faith. The flames should have consumed them, but when the king peered into the fire, he saw not 3 men, but 4, untouched by the blaze. God didn't spare them the furnace, but He walked with them through it, and they emerged without a trace of smoke. That's the God you serve, not one who only shines on mountaintops, but one who strides through valleys, storms, and flames. He doesn't just appear when life is easy. He's there in the darkest nights, the fiercest battles, guiding, strengthening, sustaining. But you must keep walking. You can't collapse in the fire or freeze in the flood. The enemy wants you to quit, to believe this trial is your end. But if you stop now, you'll miss the victory waiting just beyond. Stop asking, "Why is this happening?" Start asking, "God, what are you forging in me through this?" The fire isn't here to destroy you, it's refining you, burning away doubt to reveal a faith unbreakable. The waters aren't meant to drown you, they're teaching you to trust God deeper than ever before. When you emerge, you'll be stronger, wiser, rooted in His presence like never before. The enemy thought this storm would crush you, but God is using it to make you unshakable, to prove your faith rests not on fleeting circumstances, but on the eternal presence of the living God. There's power in knowing who you belong to. This world loves to label you, to box you in, to define you by your past, your failures, or its fleeting standards. But Isaiah chapter 43 declares, "I have called you by name, you are mine." That's God's voice, and when He claims you, no label sticks, no lie holds. Some of you have spent years proving yourself, chasing love, bending to fit where you were never meant to belong. Maybe someone said you weren't enough, and that wound still stings. Maybe life's blows have left you questioning your worth. But hear this, you are not your mistakes, not your scars, not the world's verdict. You are God's. When He says, "You are mine," He's not waiting for a polished version of you. He claims you in your brokenness, your doubts, your weakest moments. His love doesn't hinge on your performance, it flows from His unchanging nature. The enemy will try to drown that truth, flinging every failure, every flaw, every reason to doubt yourself. He'll use voices, people, memories, even your own heart, to tear you down, to keep you from God's calling. But God didn't name you by your sins. He called you by name. When the enemy sneers, "You're worthless," God declares, "You are mine." When the world scoffs, "You'll never be enough," God repeats, "You are mine." When doubt whispers, God's voice roars, "You are mine." That truth sets you free. Your worth isn't tied to applause. achievements, or approval. It's rooted in the one who formed you, redeemed you, called you his own. You don't need to strive, perform, or plead for value. You can walk boldly, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. Some of you feel unwanted, forgotten, adrift without purpose. But God is whispering today, you are mine. Stop seeking identity in what fades: success, relationships, praise. Stop letting old wounds shape your tomorrow. When God claims you, it's forever, not until you stumble, not until life hardens, but forever. His love is a rock, unmoved by time, unshaken by storms. Stand in that truth. No matter what comes, you are his. Fear is a relentless thief, stealing peace, joy, and the courage to step into God's plan. It murmurs in the shadows, you're not strong enough, not worthy enough. But Isaiah chapter 43 counters, do not be afraid, for I am with you. That's not a suggestion, it's a lifeline. Fear isn't just a feeling, it's the enemy's weapon, designed to paralyze your faith, to keep you from God's purpose. Some of you are battling fears that feel like mountains, fear of failure, of the future, of being alone. You lie awake, heart racing, wondering if God hears your cries. Fear wants you to believe you're powerless, that your struggles are bigger than you. But you're not alone. The God who spoke galaxies into being, who holds time in his hands, is with you. If he is near, what can you fear? The enemy uses fear to trap you in yesterday's mistakes, to cloud tomorrow's hope, to silence your trust. But fear is a shadow, powerless before God's light. The moment you choose his presence over your panic, fear crumbles. Remember the disciples, tossed by a storm, their boat battered by waves. They thought death was certain. Then Jesus appeared, walking on the water. But fear blinded them. They saw him and trembled more. Fear does that, making you miss God's presence even when he's near. Jesus spoke, take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. He's speaking those words to you now. Some of you are waiting for the storm to pass before you trust, for fear to vanish before you move. But courage isn't fear's absence, it's trusting God through it. Even if the waves don't calm, even if the path stays rough, God is with you, and that's enough. You can walk on what threatens to sink you, because he's holding you up. What's fear stopping you from? What step of faith have you delayed? The moment you trust God's voice over doubt's clamor, everything shifts. You don't have to live in anxiety's grip, fretting over what you can't control. Your God walks through every fire, speaks peace to every storm. If he says, I am with you, that's the truth that breaks every chain. Sometimes, life feels like a conspiracy against you. You pray, but the heavens seem silent. You push forward, but the path grows steeper. Weariness creeps in, and you wonder, God, where are you? It's easy to think he's forgotten you, that his promises don't reach your pain. But God never abandons his own. When he says, I will make a way in the wilderness, rivers in the desert, he's not spinning poetry, he's wielding power over every impossibility. Some of you are in a wilderness now, a barren place where hope feels dried up, where nothing moves. You've tried everything, and still, the ground stays hard. But the wilderness isn't your end. The desert isn't your story's close. God specializes in the impossible. He split the Red Sea, drew water from stone, rained manna from heaven. He's not bound by what you see, not limited by this world's rules. Just because you can't see the way doesn't mean he's not carving it. Picture the Israelites, trapped at the Red Sea's edge, the enemy closing in, no escape. no hope, or so they thought. God said, "Be still, and see my salvation." Then he parted the impossible, leading them through on dry ground. That same God is moving in your life, even if the path is hidden. His ways aren't always yours. Sometimes he splits the sea. Sometimes he strengthens you to climb. His thoughts soar higher than your plans. His wisdom deeper than your doubts. If the road ahead is foggy, don't let fear steer. The wilderness refines faith. The desert tests trust. When all else fades, you see God's power clearest. He's already ahead, clearing obstacles, paving a way where none existed. Some of you are praying for breakthroughs, but the harder you pray, the heavier life feels. That struggle isn't God's absence, it's proof He's moving. The enemy fights hardest when you're near a victory. Don't grow weary. Don't quit. The God who vowed to make a way doesn't lie. His timing is flawless, His plan unshakable. Keep walking, keep trusting, for even in the driest places, He is making a way. Let's go deeper. What does it mean to be called by name? It's not just a label, it's an identity forged in the heart of God. Imagine the Creator, before time began, knowing you, shaping you, claiming you as His own. That's the intimacy of Isaiah chapter 43. It's God saying, "I see you, every part of you, and I choose you." Not because you've earned it, not because you're perfect, but because you are His. Some of you have spent years running from that truth, trying to define yourself by what you do, what you have, or what others think. But the world's mirror is cracked. It can't show you who you really are. Only God can. And He says, "You are mine." That truth is a weapon against the enemy's lies. When he tries to bury you in shame, remind him, "I am redeemed." When he whispers that you're alone, declare, "God is with me." When he says your past is your prison, shout, "I am His, and He has set me free." That's the power of knowing who you belong to. It's not just a feeling, it's a foundation, a rock you can stand on when everything else crumbles. Some of you are carrying wounds from words spoken over you, words that said you're not enough, not worthy, not wanted. Those words are lies, and they have no power in the presence of God's truth. He calls you by name, not by your failures. He claims you, not because you've proven yourself, but because His love is unstoppable. And what about the fire? The waters? They're real, aren't they? Life doesn't spare you the flames or the floods. You've felt the heat of trials, the weight of waves crashing over you. Maybe you're in that place now, where every step feels like a battle, where hope seems like a distant star. But Isaiah chapter 43 doesn't promise a life without fire. It promises a God who walks through it with you. Think of Daniel in the lion's den, surrounded by beasts that should have torn him apart. Yet God was there, shutting the mouths of lions, preserving His servant through the night. That's the God you serve, not one who always spares you the trial, but one who stands with you in it, ensuring you come through. Some of you are asking, why hasn't God stopped this storm? But what if the storm is where you meet Him most deeply? What if the fire is where your faith is forged, where you learn to trust Him in ways you never could on the mountaintop? The enemy wants you to see the trial as proof of God's absence. But God is using it to show you His presence. He's not just watching, He's holding you, guiding you, making a way. So keep moving. Don't let the enemy convince you to quit. The victory is closer than you think. And it's not just survival, it's a testimony of God's faithfulness. A story that will echo His glory. And when you feel like you can't go on, when the wilderness stretches endless before you, remember this: God is the master of the impossible. He doesn't just make a way, He makes rivers in the desert. Life where there was none. Think of Hagar, alone in the wilderness, her son crying, her hope gone. But God saw her, opened her eyes to a well of water, and gave her a promise that carried her forward. That's the God you serve. He sees you in your desert places, knows your tears, and has a plan you can't yet see. His promise in Isaiah chapter 43 isn't just words, it's power. Moving mountains, parting seas, bringing life to what was dead. Some of you are standing at your own Red Sea, the enemy closing in, no way forward. It feels hopeless, doesn't it? But God specializes in hopeless moments. He told the Israelites, "Be still, and see my salvation." And then He did what no one could imagine, split the sea, led them through, and drowned their pursuers. That same God is at work in your life. You may not see the path yet, but He's carving it. His ways aren't always what you expect. Sometimes He parts the sea. Sometimes He gives you strength to walk through the storm. But His promise is sure. He is making a way. Consider David, a shepherd boy facing Goliath, a giant no one dared challenge. The world saw weakness, but God saw a king. David didn't trust in his own strength. He trusted the God who called him. With a sling and a stone, he felled the giant, because God was with him. That's the God you serve, not one who demands your perfection, but one who fights your battles when you trust Him. Or think of Esther, a young woman facing a king's wrath to save her people. She could have cowered in fear, but she stepped forward, trusting God's presence. And God turned the heart of a king, saving a nation. That's the power of His presence in you. And what about Mary Magdalene, a woman burdened by her past, shunned by the world? The enemy told her she was unworthy, but Jesus saw her, called her, redeemed her. She stood at the cross when others fled, and she was the first to see the risen Lord. That's the God you serve, not one who rejects the broken, but one who calls them by name, restores them, and uses them for His glory. Or consider Lazarus, dead in the tomb, hope lost. The world said it was over, but Jesus called his name, and death itself obeyed. That's the power of the God who claims you, who speaks life where there is none. Think of Jonah, running from God's call, swallowed by a fish in the depths of the sea. In that dark, hopeless place, he thought his story was over. But God was there, even in the belly of the beast, preserving him, calling him back to his purpose. Jonah cried out, and God delivered him, sending him to Nineveh to proclaim His word. That's the God you serve, not one who abandons you when you stray, but one who pursues you, redeems you, and restores your calling. Or consider Gideon, hiding in fear, doubting his strength. The world saw a coward, but God saw a mighty warrior. He called Gideon by name, gave him courage, and led him to victory against impossible odds. That's the God who sees you, not as you are, but as He created you to be. So what's holding you back? Is it fear, whispering that you're not enough? Is it doubt, telling you God has forgotten you? Or is it weariness, making you think the wilderness is all there is? Hear this. You are not defined by your fears, your doubts, or your struggles. You are defined by the God who calls you His own. He has redeemed you, claimed you, promised to be with you. And if He is with you, nothing can stand against you. Not the fire, not the flood, not the lies of the enemy. Keep walking, keep trusting. The God who called you by name is leading you through, and He will not fail. But let's pause and reflect. What does redemption really mean? It's not just forgiveness, it's transformation, a reclaiming of who you were always meant to be. When God redeems you, He doesn't leave you patched up, limping along. He makes you new, whole, alive with His purpose. Some of you have believed the lie that redemption is temporary, that you'll lose it if you stumble. But God's redemption is eternal, sealed by His love, not your performance. It's the truth that sets you free from guilt, from shame, from the weight of your past. It's the promise that no matter how far you've fallen, God's hand is reaching out, pulling you back to Him. And what about the wilderness? It's not just a place of struggle, it's a place of encounter. In the wilderness, Moses met God at the burning bush. In the desert, Elijah heard God's still, small voice. In the barren places, God reveals Himself, not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet of your soul. Some of you are in that wilderness now, feeling lost, alone, forgotten. But God is there, speaking, guiding, preparing you for what's next. Don't rush through the desert, listen for His voice. He's not just leading you out, He's leading you deeper into His presence. And when fear tries to grip you, remember this: God's presence is stronger than your fear. Think of Peter, stepping out of the boat onto the waves. The storm raged, the wind howled, but Jesus was there, calling him to walk. Peter faltered when he looked at the waves, but Jesus caught him. That's the God you serve, not one who demands fearless perfection, but one who catches you when you fall, who calls you to walk on the very things that scare you. So what's your wave? What's the fear keeping you in the boat? Step out. Trust Him. His presence is enough. Some of you are carrying burdens you were never meant to bear, guilt from past mistakes, worry about the future, pain from words that cut deep. Lay them down. God didn't call you to carry those weights. He called you to walk in freedom, to live in the truth that you are His. When the enemy tries to drag you back, remind him, my God has redeemed me. My God is with me. My God has called me by name. That's not just a statement, it's a battle cry, a declaration that shatters the enemy's lies. And when the path ahead seems impossible, when the wilderness feels endless, hold fast to this: God is making a way. He's not just a God of promises, He's a God of action. He parted the Jordan for Joshua, brought down Jericho's walls, raised Lazarus from the dead. He's not finished with you. Your story isn't over. The wilderness is not your end, it's a chapter, a season where God is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for a purpose you can't yet see. So keep moving, keep believing. The God who called you by name is faithful, and He will lead you through. But let's go further. What does it mean to trust God in the fire? It's not just enduring, it's believing He's using the flames to shape you. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery, imprisoned for years, betrayed by those he trusted. The world saw a broken man, but God saw a leader. Through every trial, God was with him, turning pain into purpose, raising him to save nations. That's the God you serve, not one who spares you every hardship, but one who weaves them into a story of redemption. Or consider Job, stripped of everything, family, wealth, health. Yet in his darkest hour, he declared, I know that my Redeemer lives. That's the faith God calls you to, a faith that trusts His presence, even when all seems lost. And what about the moments when God feels silent? Some of you are praying, pleading, but the heavens seem shut. You wonder if God hears, if He cares. But silence isn't absence. When Jesus hung on the cross, the world thought God had abandoned Him. Yet in that silence, God was working the greatest victory, redeeming the world. That's the God you serve, not one who always speaks when you expect, but one who is always working, even in the quiet. Trust His silence. Trust His timing. He is making a way, even when you can't see it. Some of you are battling shame, believing your past disqualifies you from God's love. But think of Rahab, a woman the world called unworthy. She trusted God, and He not only redeemed her but placed her in the lineage of Christ. That's the God you serve, one who takes the broken, the outcast, and makes them part of His eternal story. Or consider Paul, once a persecutor of the church, consumed by zeal for the wrong cause. Yet God called him, redeemed him, and used him to change the world. That's the power of redemption, not just forgiveness, but transformation, purpose, a new name. And when the enemy tries to drown you in fear, remember this: God's love is stronger than your fear. It's stronger than your failures, your doubts, your pain. His love is the anchor that holds you when the waves rise. His love is the fire that burns away your shame. His love is the voice that calls you by name, saying, "You are mine." That's the truth that sets you free, not a truth you earn, but a truth you receive, a gift from the God who formed you, who redeemed you, who will never let you go. So what does this mean for you today? It means you don't have to live in fear. You don't have to carry the weight of your past. You don't have to prove your worth to a world that will never satisfy. You are God's, and that is enough. When the enemy whispers lies, when the world tries to define you, when fear threatens to paralyze you, stand on this truth: I have called you by name. You are mine. That's not just a promise, it's a declaration, a vow from the God who holds the universe, who walks through fire, who makes rivers in the desert. He is with you. He has redeemed you. He is making a way. And when you feel like giving up, when the wilderness feels too vast, the fire too hot, the waves too high, remember this: God's story for you is not over. He didn't bring you this far to abandon you. He didn't redeem you to leave you broken. He didn't call you by name to forget you. Every trial, every tear, every moment of doubt is part of a story He's writing, a story of redemption, of victory, of a faith refined by fire. So keep walking. Keep trusting. The God who called you by name is leading you through, and He will not fail. But let's anchor this truth one final time. God's presence isn't a distant hope, it's a living reality. Think of the moment Jonah, swallowed by darkness, thought all was lost. Yet even there, God's mercy reached him, turning his rebellion into a testimony of grace. Or picture Gideon, trembling in fear, yet called by God to lead with courage. These stories aren't just history, they're your story. A reminder that God meets you in your weakness, calls you in your doubt, and leads you through every impossible moment. His presence is your strength, His redemption your freedom, His promise your future. So stand firm. You are His, and He is with you, now and forever.